No, you don't need the.
I'm doing this my way. He a legend, he a legend, he a legend. He a legend, he a legend, he a legend. He a legend. Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league. Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league of idols.
Whoop, whoop! The sound of the beast. Whoop, whoop! It's the sound of Officer Volibear zooming towards Dominus. I hope they have their license and registration because they're about to get arrested for a DUI, dragoning under the influence. Can Avi ask you a few questions? Yeah, get out of the car. We're gonna have to search you. Callista tries to rip Thresh to safety, but he dies first. Twyla is close behind, Azir falling victim to police brutality at the hands of Volibear. Trundle's been an undercover agent this entire time, dropping a cone and trying to help JDG finish off Dominus in Game 1. JDG wins Game 1. In Game 2, JDG and Dominus are fighting in the mid lane. Lu Mao is going down. Or is he? Silas is low in the middle of the fight, and Thresh and Corki are sent packing, and JDG closes Game 2 with an easy sweep. Now for the match we've all been waiting for. Invictus Gaming takes on LGD in one of the best series of the season so far. In Game 1, Invictus Gaming is down 1k gold, but they're shoving in mid lane. He must be high, because Puff puffs and passes to his teammates, who pass out after a nice Bard ultimate by Mark. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch win Game 1. Invictus is up big in Game 2. Both teams have 2 dragons and Rookie is looking for a flank. But nothing happens. Both teams move towards the dragon pit. Lee starts her up. Renekton is flanking, ults, and dives in onto Lee Sin looking for a kill, but it's Lissandra who gets the engage onto the back line. Lee takes dragon. Renekton flashes out and Trundle dies first. Renekton gets a kill onto Southwind. But Ezreal and the team are in a good position to win, and here's Johnny! The Shining shows up big to win Game 2. Game 3 was a back and fair. LGD has taken Baron and the mid inhib tower, but Invictus Gaming is looking to stop the damage. The Shy is coming in hot, and LGD leaves the inhibitor. Galio is low, and dies alongside Trundle. The Shy ults, and looks to engage once again. Blinding of Felios, before dying, and Invictus Gaming takes out 200 years. Puff is chasing down Long Shi, who is long gone. But they can't crack the peanut. Can Invictus Gaming? The death timers are low. First it's the inhib tower. But then they back off. A questionable decision by the favorites. Bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. After teams reset quickly, both teams are standing in the mid lane, and Rookie makes a rookie mistake. He is a big house, and Galio secures the victory with a big time taunt onto Puff. Put down the dope, son. Ning tries to buy some time by killing the wave, but Invictus Gaming is aced, and LGD has managed to take down Invictus Gaming. GG, LGD. A legendary victory.
What's up, everybody? It's Pikel with League of Items, and we finally have a non-2 game slate. It's actually a great slate too, and there's some great contests on DraftKings tonight. So we have to look at the results from yesterday first. So last night, in the LPL, I was on JDG and Invictus Gaming. So let me read what I said in Discord. Hopefully this doesn't become a thing. But, let's see. We had a pretty late stream last night, which was fun. Had a lot of people show up. I said... I basically said that LGD is a live dog, but I think Invictus Gaming is still underestimated. And the reason I said that is because I do think that Invictus Gaming is undervalued right now in general. So even though they lost last night, I still think they're a better team than LGD, or at least a comparable team to LGD. LGT is a team that I've been high on for like the entire season, really. They didn't get it done against Top Esports when they played earlier this split, or was it JDG? They lost their other high-profile matchup, and I knew that they were a live dog here, so it was 42%. That seems about right. I wouldn't change that number much off of this loss. JDG against Dominus, nobody even cared about that one. But the Game 3, if you watch Game 3, this is why the Shy is still considered one of the best top laners in the world, even though there are games where he dies a lot and can look pretty shaky. He is not only capable of, but willing to play some of these very volatile matchups. In my breakdown yesterday, I said I could see LGD picking something like Ornn or like if they pick Ornn, they're gonna get counter picked for the most part, and that should be an advantage for the Shy. So the first match was Ornn against Aatrox. I don't think they have the scoreboards up. Let's take a look real quick. LPL Summer. They probably don't have this up yet. Yeah, that's not up yet. Which week are we in? I believe this was today. Yeah, so they don't have it up for today. But the Shy played pretty well in the first game. That was Ornn against Aatrox. His team kind of fell behind, and that's the issue that they had in that game. And then in the second game, we had Quinn... No, in the second game, we had Gangplank against Renekton. So Gangplank against Renekton is a very volatile matchup. The goal is for Renekton to get ahead with the help of his jungler and then try to beat the other team before Gangplank can scale. They weren't able to do that. The Shy scaled, and they won the game. But that's the kind of spot where you're putting so much additional pressure on the other team by having like a mini game within the game. It's like not only do you have to contest us at all the dragons, play the Rift Herald, play the map correctly, go for towers, but you also have to make sure that the Shy doesn't get to level 16 before you guys do, because otherwise he's just going to dominate a team fight around one of the important dragons or barons or something like that and just win the game. And that's basically what we saw. In the last game, the Shy was playing Quinn against Renekton, had a huge lead, and that's exactly what I was talking about yesterday when I said if Longshi opts into one of these carry matchups, it's going to increase the volatility of the matchup exponentially, and you can just see the Shy go off. And this was basically the exact game script that we wanted for him to go off, but then at the end of the game, Rookie got caught out mid lane. That has nothing to do with the Shy. So I know that people are going to say, like, Invictus Gaming lost, but the Shy is garbage. But in reality, the Shy had a pretty good series today. Some questionable decisions, but overall, he had a good series, and he put his team in a position to win the match. It's just they weren't able to take advantage of how well he played. Rookie actually had a pretty bad day today, and Puff also had a pretty bad day. I'm very skeptical about Puff in general. I don't think he's very good. Mechanically, he makes some good plays, but positionally and like awareness-wise, he makes some pretty horrible decisions. I don't know if that's completely his fault, but it's at least he has to at least take a lot of the blame for the positional mistakes that he has. So a little disappointed in Invictus Gaming last night. LGD plus JDG were the lineups that you had to make. to win the tournaments, and I was mostly on IG. So let's take a look at today's matchups. So like I said, we have 2 games in China, 2 games in Korea. First up, LNG against OMG. LNG is a 161 favorite against OMG. Top Esports is a minus 1,429 favorite against BLG. So I'm not going to spend any time talking about Top Esports. I don't think that Billy Gaming has a realistic chance to win. I will not be playing Billy Gaming. I'm probably going to play in that 444 tonight, and I'm not playing Billy Gaming as a part of a $444 contest. I'm sure that there are people who are going to run 15 lineups and have some exposure to Billy Gaming. Congratulations. The chances of that winning the tournament is pretty low. I think the only scenario that would work is if Billy Gaming wins 1 game, loses 1-2. Well, if they win 2-0, then yeah, they're going to be in a potentially good lineup, or 2-1. But I think the only real out that these players have is going 1-2. Billy Gaming has the highest kill score game of the match and keeps it close in one of the other games. But I just don't really think that is realistic. So let's look at that first. Kingen, Best 16, Fofo, Wings, Zinmo, 369, Karsa, Knight, Jackie Love, Yuyanjia. So no big surprises here. But this match is much more interesting. So we have Curse, Hacker, Icon, SMLZ, and Cold against Chenlun 17, XX, Maple, Light, and Dwan. So I do like LNG in general. I think that they have looked good at points during this split, and they have Chenlun 17, who was supposed to be the heir to the throne, the Mickey throne, but he squandered that opportunity. They played back-to-back games of Kale against E-Star and were not successful. So that was a call that kind of backfired, but I would make that kind of call again. I still like the spot for LNG in that one. So if we look at LNG, LNG lost to E-Star, beat Fun Plus Phoenix, beat RNG, and lost to Sunning. So you have 2 really good results, and you have 2 pretty okay results. Or bad results, sorry. And then we have OMG. They beat Dominus, lost to EDG, lost to RNG, lost to Top Esports, lost to V5. If you look at these though, I mean, EDG is a pretty good team. Definitely a better team than OMG and LNG. You take a look at RNG, better than LNG, better than OMG. Top Esports, better than both. V5, probably better than both. Going into this split, I think OMG. Where did I have OMG? They should have been in like. Yeah, so I had OMG above LNG and above V5, so I was not accurate with that part of it. But nobody really saw this coming, where these teams would be taking series, getting series wins this early on. I shouldn't say that. I don't know anybody that did. And it's kind of unreasonable to think that someone should have made that their choice. So again, LNG against OMG is really the matchup that I'm more interested in. So let's take a look at their match history. So Chenlun 17 is an AP, not a very good. He's an AP top laner, so he's pretty unique. He can play the more meta champions. He will play something like Jace. Against RNG, he played a Jace game against Aatrox, and I think he did pretty well. And then Ornn against Wukong, that was a good team fight win, team fight setup win for LNG. They lost 2 games to E-Star when they had Aphelios. That's pretty bad. I'm gonna actually look up real quick. I want to look up the champion stats for Aphelios. Aphelios, 51.5% win rate. Ezreal has a 60.5% win rate. That's interesting. I still think it's kind of insane to leave up both of those champions every single game and just trade back and forth. But either way, that's not why we're here. So again, Chenlun 17, Maple I'm not a big fan of. Light and Dwan I think are okay. But it's really Light and Chenlun 17 are going to be the 2 players they're trying to get resources onto. XX is going to help them in that effort. Then we have Curse, Hacker, Icon, SMLZ, and Cold. So I don't think that Chenlun17 is going to be able to play Wukong tonight. I don't think either team is going to pick... I don't think either team should pick Wukong tonight, because it's very bad into AP matchups, and both top laners show that they can play the AP matchups. So I would expect them to stay away from that. In the jungle, we have Hacker playing a lot of Lee Sin. LNG's playing some Olaf, Jarvan. Not really a Lee Sin player. So that might be a pretty good ban. That might be a good ban for LNG, but it's also kind of a wasted ban. You don't necessarily want to spend a ban on Lee Sin when he's not a very overpowered champion. He does have a pretty good win rate in the LPL, but I think it's because you have a decent number of games where the favorite just picks it because they know that they're better than the other team. So I wouldn't put too much weight into that. Now we have Maple against Icon. I like Icon. I think he's a pretty interesting player. He's got a great champion pool. Similar to all the other mid laners that play all the normal champions, but he's also willing to play something like Kled, Cassiopeia, Kassadin, Echo, Diana. More variance in his champion choices than most other players. Like you see down here, you don't see anything that unique. We have a Kiana game, but that's a pretty long time ago. And then in the bot lane, we have Aphelios, Ezreal, Ashe, and we have Aphelios, Kalista, Jhin, MF. So they're willing to get a little bit more different with SMLZ in the bot lane. SMLZ is a Jhin player, so maybe there is some kind of matchup that they can exploit. They took the Kalista against Jhin, and nobody picked Aphelios in that game, so that's pretty interesting against top esports. Let's take a look at salaries for them real quick. So it is relatively close. This is the sheet that I use. I reference it pretty often. I just got to change the teams real quick. So we have top esports is the biggest, the most expensive team on the slate. KT is the second most expensive team on the slate. Which is pretty surprising. LNG, SP, Solhewan Prince. Team Dynamics, OMG, Hanwha Life, and Billy Gaming. So I'm pretty sure that the rosters are right. This is not correct. So we'll get rid of that. So we're not sure about KT Roaster's lineup, but I'm not worried about that right now. We're still focusing on China. Chenlun17, XX, Maple, Light, Duan. Oh. So it should be Kingen. That looks right for the most part. And the reason why I did this is because on the lineup building sheet, I can just change all of this around, and it'll show me the, it like color codes the players based off of how expensive they are relative to everybody else. And this sheet, in order to get access to this sheet, you have to sign up for Patreon. Patreon gives you access to Discord. Discord is where I post this sheet and my picks for the day. So right now we're looking at OMG and LNG. LNG is the third most expensive. Why is that not right? Dynamics, OMG, Honda. That's weird. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Oh, that's the support. Okay, so I'm... Alright, I should be looking over here. So Top Esports, KT Rolster, LNG, SP, Team Dynamics, OMG, Hanwha Life, Billy Gaming. They're the third most expensive team. Some of their players are a little bit less than that. So Dwan, for example, is the fourth highest support instead of the third highest, which is what you would expect from a team slot that's high. That basically means KT Rolster's players are put down a little bit. Top Esports is the most expensive team and the most expensive in every role. Knight is the most expensive player on the slate, but he's only 8,000, which is not horrible. Actually, Jackie Love is the most expensive on the slate. So that's interesting. So let's get back into the matchup itself. Actually... So in this matchup, we have Chenlun 17 against Curse most likely. Does Chenlun 17 have a chance to play the AP top laners? They can go AP against AP. He could probably get a Mordekaiser game. He could probably get a Sylas game. Let's see. He picked Mordekaiser against Wukong, mostly Sylas against Ornn. Kayle against Ornn. So is OMG going to end up picking Ornn? They have picked it in the past, when Curse was their top laner. It's not banned out against them often. I don't think they can play Wukong tonight. I kind of think that maybe we do end up getting some more Ornn matchups. LNG picks Kayle, but doesn't necessarily make it work. I could see some of those games happening again. LNG... OMG against E-Star. I think E-Star is probably a little better than OMG. Before the season started, OMG would be the higher rated team in this spot, according to most people's rankings. This is relatively concerning, so OMG is banning out a lot of the meta champions instead of playing the meta champions. That I don't love to see that. It takes up a lot of draft resources to do that. What's the line? 161 to 124. So I don't really like either team here. I wish that LNG was a little bit more of a favorite. The reason I could see it happening, that they're a little bit more of a favorite, is they have wins over 2 top 10 teams in the world. So that is pretty impressive. I just think that they were both kind of fluky. Maybe LNG is better than I think they are, but I just don't think there's enough value in this spot to bet on them. So I'm not betting that game, and I'm not betting Top Esports at minus 1,400. So let's go to Korea. In Korea, we have Team Dynamics against Solhaewon Prince. Solhaewon Prince. I don't know how to pronounce it. So let's take a look at that. Both teams have played 2 matches so far. Team Dynamics lost to a Freak of Freaks, who are decent. They beat KT Rolster. Solhewan Prince lost to Damwon Gaming. Damwon Gaming is a good team. And they beat Hanwha Life, who is middling. They're like a middle of the table kind of team. So neither team has really played a great team, one of the top teams, but Damwon Gaming is relatively close. I think that Solhewan Prince. Let's take a look at the scoreboards. They had an okay match against them, right? I think it was 2-1. No, they got 0-2'd. Lost 2 games to Pantheon support. Pantheon support's really good. Anybody who saw my stream yesterday saw the Pantheon support. That was pretty insane. Okay, so obviously Mickey, we love Mickey. He's not going up against Showmaker again, which is a good thing. So let's go lane by, let's do it through here. So Team Dynamics. Jace, Aatrox, Lucian, Ornn. The Gragas game is kind of weird. Aatrox, Ornn, Poppy. Poppy against Jace. Poppy's an okay champion in this meta. I've seen it top, I've seen it jungle. It's matchup specific. Team Dynamics is playing Graves. That's a good thing. Solhewan Prince is banning out the good junglers in some of these games, which is kind of scary. Team Dynamics picked the Yasuo. That was a pretty cool game. They picked, they played Senna, which is a good sign. Not necessarily like blindly opting into the Aphelios Ezreal kind of meta that we have going on. So in the games where Team Dynamics is blue side, I expect them to ban an AD carry with a third ban. At least they'll ban at least one AD carry in the third spot every time. It looks like they don't want to play against. It looks like no one wants to play against Varus still, which I think is interesting. Doesn't seem that broken to me. But yeah, they have some interesting options into the Aphelios Ezreal kind of meta. I like the fact that they're looking for something like Yasuo. I think Yasuo is pretty good right now. They got 4 games of Karma. I don't think they'll get Karma. Like, I don't personally think that Karma's great right now. I think that it's a little overblown. There are other champions that are similar to her that use Ardent Censer better. And if I was going to put it onto my team, I'd rather get it into a different spot than my mid lane. A lot of the times, you'll have your team kind of run out of damage, and it's a little bit more difficult to play the team fights because you're not getting any CC out of the mid lane, which you're not always getting CC out of mid lane, but a lot of the time you are. Karma has a chance for a little root, but that's about it. She can speed up her team and shield everybody with Ardent Censer, which is nice, but I just don't love it for mid lane, personally. Then we have SP. So Mickey has played 5 champions in 5 games. That's pretty interesting. I do love Mickey. I think that Mickey has an advantage against Kuzan. So let's go lane by lane. Ixu against Rich. I think that Rich probably has the advantage, but Ixu looked pretty good in their first match. Didn't look as good against Noguri because Noguri's a good player. I think Rich is more like Noguri than Cuvée, although they're all kind of in that carry kind of style. So Ixu could look to do something like the a tank top laner, where he's just trying to go even in lane basically, which is going to give Rich opportunities to win top lane. and that's one of the most important things for dynamics. Then we have Beyond against Flawless. I think I prefer Beyond here. So we have two sides where I'm on Team Dynamics in the top and the jungle, which are two pretty important spots in Korea right now, the way that they play the game. For the mid lane, I think Mickey's the better player, so I like the mid lane for Solhewan Prince. The bot lane is a huge question mark, and I think this is probably where the game is going to be decided, because on the top half of the map we have top and jungle going one way, we have the mid laner going another way, so that kind of separates the map in half. You can't transition that lead top down into bottom as easily if you don't have a mid lane advantage as well. And then we have Hybrid against Deokdam, which is very, like, if Deokdam ends up being a very good AD carry and a big influence in Korea this split, that'd be pretty cool. Tough to say at this point. I think he's shown some good things, but he has also put some bad tape out there. So it's interesting. Hybrid was able, their bot lane was able to beat Viper and Lehens, which is pretty good, or at least was put in a position to succeed against those players. So I do like both of the bot lanes here for different reasons. One of them has had good matches. The other one I think has a little bit, well, not a little bit of higher upside, but also has high upside. So that's a tough matchup. I'll have to put more time into thought into that one. Last, we have KT and Hanwha Life. So Hanwha Life, obviously, they were the first disappointment of the season. Let's go back to the main page. So KT lost to Gen G, which you can't blame them for. They lost to Dynamics, which was kind of surprising at first. And then we have Hanwha Life. So Hanwha Life lost to SP and lost to T1. Losing to T1, it's whatever. Losing to SP is a little more of a question mark, but like I said, I think they're all four of these teams that are playing tonight are roughly the same. Sandbox is by far, maybe not by far. Sandbox is the worst team in Korea right now. So I'm not putting too much I'm not giving away too much credit for someone who beats Sandbox. Match history of KT Rolster, match history of so we don't know, this is actually going to be a huge question mark in terms of rosters. This is the last game of the slate, and both teams are known to make substitutions. So we have what I think is going to be the starting lineup is Smeb, Bono, Kuro, Aiming, and Tucson. KT played pretty well at the end of last split. I don't know what is wrong with them right now. I think that the team dynamics thing was a pretty huge loss. The fact that they beat Gen G in one game is a good thing, but they didn't look great. Smeb looked actually pretty questionable as well. And then we have Hanwha Life. Hanwha Life, since they've started playing Dudu, like, it's been pretty fun to watch. I think that he is an interesting player for the long term, but I don't know how the rest of this lineup is going to turn out. Viper and Lehens are going to play every match, I believe, but there are just so many question marks in this match. So I can only say based off of who I think is going to start. So since they ran out the same lineup 3 games against T1, I would assume they're going to play that lineup again. But like I said, it's tough to, you can't say it with any certainty outside of the bot lane. So let's go to DraftKings and look at it with that in mind. So if it's Smeb against Dudu, Smeb is the more experienced player, more well known, so he'll probably be higher owned than Dudu. Bono against Cad, I don't know enough about either player. Kuro against Miru, I think Kuro, if he plays again, he always has the chance to kind of just outplay the other team. And, well, more importantly, outthink the other team. So he has a very interesting champion pool. The fact that Miru plays Azir is kind of interesting for KT because they have a lot of pocket picks that are good against that. Kuro's been playing a decent amount of Twisted Fate. I don't like to see that. I think Twisted Fate is very overrated right now. I think that he's a viable champion to pick as a response to an enemy team composition, but blind picking it is pretty bad, and we've seen that over and over again. Just a lot of teams out there that don't really think very deeply about draft. They just think like, here are a pool of champions that are all valid picks, and then they just pick them and hope that they win the game. Maybe a little reductionist, but whatever. Yeah, so in the mid lane, I don't know enough about Miru, but I would assume Kuro has the advantage. And then in the bot lane, we have Aiming and Tucson against Viper and Lehens. I'm probably on the side of Hanwha Life in the bot lane. I think that Viper and Lehens have shown higher upside than Aiming and Tucson in recent history. And one of them has blue hair, so you kind of have to go against the blue hair. So that's basically it. Let's take a second to think about ownership. Specifically in... Well, let's just think about ownership. I'm not going to put it into a specific contest. So the highest owned team tonight will most likely be Top Esports. If Top Esports is the highest owned team, then you're going to need to find some salary savings elsewhere to use them as your primary stack, or like the captain slot. Otherwise, you're going to have to go down to one of these other teams. So you would need to take Dynamics, OMG, or Hanwha Life. That's going to be an interesting decision for a lot of people. I think Dynamics, OMG, and Hanwha Life. So I think Team Dynamics is going to be relatively popular today because they're the easier team to stack with Top Esports, and we will know their lineup before lock. So I think a lot of players will just stay up a little extra just to confirm the lineups. But Team Dynamics, you don't really have to worry that much anyways about their roster. It's basically a known commodity. They only have the five main players on their roster. OMG against LNG, we already have the rosters out for LPL, so I think OMG will get some ownership, probably more than Hanwha Life. And then in the last match of the night, we have Hanwha Life. They're really not expected to win, and they have a ton of question marks surrounding their roster, so it's tough to roster them as well. And then we have to try to make the argument, like, should we play SP, LNG, or KT over Top Esports? KT, I don't think I'd be able to do it outside of Aiming. Like, maybe you can convince somebody that KT Rolster is going to beat Hanwha Life really bad, and Aiming is going to be the biggest beneficiary of that. But that seems pretty unlikely, so I don't think that they're going to get anywhere close to Top Esports. I think that LNG against OMG... so if you say LNG 2-0s OMG and Top Esports goes 2-1 against BLG, like, they have a chance to outscore them. OMG, I don't think that they've been giving up a ton of points this season, but let's check that, I guess. So RNG got 17 kills and 25 kills. Wow. That wasn't really their MO last split, giving up a ton of points. I guess I could always just wait for Sports Projections to come out with his post as well. But there's a lot of that chart's getting a little weird because of how much like data is being used from last split with like different rosters and stuff like that. So I'm not 100% convinced it gives really accurate data right now. So we're done with that. So yeah, I think Top Esports, let me just write this down. So we'll go 1 to 8 and try to predict it. Top Esports will probably be the highest owned team. So they'll probably be the highest owned team, and the logic is best team in the world, a pretty high scoring team in general, and yeah, that's basically it. So that would make Billy Billy Gaming the lowest owned team on the slate. I don't see them really having a chance to win. If they pull off an upset like LNG was able to against FPX, cool. But even if they do, they're not guaranteed to win somebody the contests anyways. The second team will probably be, I think, Dynamics or LNG. So I'll have them tied for now until I look at roster construction. So the reasons are pretty different. Dynamics, if they are the second highest owned team on the slate, it will be because they stack well with Top Esports. If LNG is the highest owned team on the slate, it's because of a contrarian build, or the second highest owned team on the slate. It's for all the lineups, not all the lineups, a lot of the lineups that don't have Top Esports. Maybe there are some combinations where you can get LNG and Top Esports into the same roster. That would be pretty interesting. I think we've seen a lot of Korean lineups winning contests so far this split, which is kind of surprising. I wonder if there's some kind of like game theory there where a lot of people are going to start moving in that direction, making Chinese teams under-owned. But with KT and Hanwha Life at the end of this slate, it'll be tough to get them because of the roster concerns. So Dynamic and LNG, and then Dynamic LNG. The second lowest owned team on the slate, it'll probably be KT and Hanwha Life at 6 and 7 because of roster and sub issues. And then at the same time, it's questionable how much upside like a team like KT Rolster or Hanwha Life even has outside of a 2-0. I think that last split KT had won a lot of games that were pretty low kill score. Maybe this whole meta shift is impactful in Korea, and they start looking for more kills and stuff like that, but that doesn't seem very likely. I think eventually teams are going to kind of revert back to their normal playstyle, which they should. If you're a good macro team, why give that up? You have to perform well in the regular season. So that leaves in the 4 and 5 spot SP and OMG. So I think SP will probably be higher owned than OMG. I'd be interested to see what other people think about this. If you have ownership projections that you think are pretty good, let me know which order you think the teams are going to be in. But that's basically it for me. I'm going to try to stream tonight, probably around 10 o'clock. Maybe a little later. Between 10 to 12 is usually when I do it. This will be a fun slate, though. I'm pretty excited about this slate. After a lot of these 2-game slates, it's pretty annoying, just not entertaining at all for anybody. But there are some really good contests out there. So that definitely makes it more fun for everybody. If you liked the video, please like, comment, subscribe, share the video, throw it on Reddit. If you want access to my picks and the sheet, make sure to check out my Patreon page, $10 a month. You also get access to all my picks. On Sunday, I went 12 for 12. That's pretty good. But that's it. So, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.